Hello everyone, this is Annabella Gorneff Leaks, and this is my story, my part 2 of my birth story about giving birth to my beautiful daughter, Arabella Azra. So, where we left off last time was that my water broke at 7:30 in the morning on January 9th, and that I called the hospital because it was slowly breaking. I had no idea that it could slowly break. I thought a water is just like the movies, like a whole waterfall, like, pooh, water breaks. It's over, game over, right? Gotta go to hospital. But no, it turns out your water can slowly break, and I had no idea. So I called the hospital. They said, yeah, you can get ready slowly since your water's slowly breaking, because that means your baby's not in a rush. But once you feel pain, you should probably get someone to drive you to hospital. Granted, I had this whole thing planned out. Not only did I want a specific date to give birth, but I also wanted my dad and my fiance a part of my labor story. So I wanted my fiance to videotape the stages of labor. Like 1 centimeter, how it's like going to the hospital, because I see all these YouTubers doing that, and I always wanted to do that so I can show my daughter this is what I went through. So this is what I went through, you know? And plus, just for my own sake of memory, because it's an incredible thing, no matter how much people downplay it, how it's like to give birth. That is an incredible source of strength and empowerment for any woman. And I don't care what people have to say about it. That's an amazing thing, to give birth to a healthy, beautiful baby. You know, no matter if it's a boy or girl. Okay, anyways. So, like I said, so my fiance and my dad were in Northern California when my water broke. And I literally wrote in my journal the night before, like, hey, my water better not break, because they're both in Northern California, because he had a work emergency and I was 38 weeks. Next you know, it breaks. The very next day I write that. So it was kind of a coincidence. And I knocked my mom's door, just like, what's up? I'm like, they said my water broke. Come up with something you would think a mom would say to their daughter when her water breaks. What did my mom say? Nope. She was like, take a shower. Like, who, out of all the things you would say when your granddaughter is going to be born, you say, take a shower. You know, like, what are you going to say? Does it hurt? Are you okay? You know, like, do you have everything ready? Like, I don't know. I just feel like that was an interesting question, or interesting statement my mom made, or demand in that case, because I just wouldn't expect someone to say, take a shower when someone's going to labor. But anywho, I took a shower, I ate breakfast, I did yoga, acted like it was another day. Man, little did I know what I was going to go through. Because, whoo, go to the hospital, they look at me, how far along are you? 38 weeks? Yes, 38 weeks. And then they were like, okay, you know, you do not look like you're that far along. And they put me in, I forgot what that room is called. It's not the place you stay at. It's a room that they just test your water breaks and just check to make sure you're about to give birth, so they can put you in the room you're going to stay at. So they test my water to see if it broke. And I even created a group chat, by the way, of 18 women. And most of them I don't even speak to anymore. Oh well. And I created this group chat so they can keep up with my labor and delivery story. But they checked my dilation. I was 1 centimeter dilated. And then they put me in my room that I was going to stay at overnight. Just to give you some idea, for vaginal delivery, this stays 1 night in the hospital. For C-section, 2 nights on average, unless you have any issues. So this was 10:30 in the morning when I was in active labor. And I was very unhappy. I had plans and with friends that day. I also did not want to give birth on January 9th. I wanted the 10th. And yeah, so they pushed me into the room that I was going to stay at, and I was 1 centimeter dilated, and I wasn't dilating even at 12:30 in the afternoon. And so they gave me Pitocin, which is supposed to speed it up for you. And then it was around, I would say, 1:30. They checked me again. I was at 3.5 centimeters. Holy moly, was that painful, because it felt like I got hit by a bus, like the water bottle crushing. Because what's happening, to be a little more explicit, like your baby is crushing as small as possible. You know, it's about a 35 centimeter baby, crushing to fit into your 10 centimeter open vagina to pop out. It's a very complicated process. And for the record, before I forget, because I know I'm going to forget when I talk about popping her out, her head was like this narrow when she came out, but it went back immediately. And it was creepy looking, just so you know. And so, yeah. So, I was in so much pain, and I had a friend who was also in labor 2 doors down from me. She could hear me screaming, and she messaged me because I have her on Facebook, and she's like, "Hey, is that you?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's me." So you should probably get the epidural, go girl. And I was texting in between contractions. Like, I was so determined to update everyone. But, like, those 3.5 centimeters felt like death. I've never been through pain. I never had period cramps. I never had any kind of, like, broken bones. Never stayed in the hospital overnight. The only pain I had was working out. So, finally, at 3.5 centimeters, at around 3:30 in the afternoon, I screamed epidural, but you have to order epidural, and that took another 30 minutes. So here I am with contractions every 2 minutes at that point, every 2 minutes, and I'm pretty sure I was not 3.5 centimeters out, guys, because my contractions were way too close together, but maybe I was, I'm not sure, I'm no expert here. And so the epidural guy with some lady who's in training, not even an actual doctor, in training by the way, comes up to me and tells me all these risks that could be the epidural, like, hey, you could be paralyzed for life on one side, it could not work, you could have some kind of like back problems, what is it called? Arthritis, like all these crazy things that the epidural could do to you. The chances are low, but in that moment, I'm like, just give me the drugs, guys. Like, I am so much freaking pain. I really do not care. I'll deal with that later because, yeah. And just so you guys know, I'm going to talk about the epidural. The needle is about this big, and it goes right into your spine. Yes, it does hurt. It feels like a bee sting. It feels like nails on a chalkboard, like the most cringy, like thing you can think of. Because it goes directly in the bottom of your spine. But guess what? That pain, I'd take it any day over the pain of being 3.5 centimeters. And the pain, and I'll take that epidural needle any day over giving birth. Because that pain was impossible. So I do not know how women did this. Because my friend who was 2 doors down from me gave birth without the epidural to both her sons. Props to anyone who's watching this who can do it without the epidural. Props to anyone watching this who knows someone or is someone who's done it without the epidural, because I don't care how much people undermine it. Like I said, giving birth is such an empowering, incredible strength that women are given to do, and you should be proud of yourself. That's totally an accomplishment. I don't care how much people downplay it. I don't care how normal it is. I don't care how many women have done it before. I understand it's something that's life. But guess what? You rock for giving birth to a healthy baby, whether it's a boy or girl. And, we are. Anyway, so, that lady, the doctor who's in training, I asked her, how, do you have any kids? She's like, no, I'm 31 and I don't want kids after seeing you in this much pain. I didn't know how to respond to that, so I just simply said, yeah, have kids when you're ready. Unlike me, haha, but even though I'm 25, or was 25, I'm 26 now. It's December 2025, to give you guys a rough idea of when I'm recording this. And so, yeah, so I guess I encourage rural population to be less with how painful my experience was before I got the epidural. So they put the epidural in. It took me another 45 minutes because they want you to stay still and do this, like put your back up, like this in order for you to put it, and I was contracting every 2 minutes. So finally it took another 45 minutes. So it took me an hour and 15 minutes once I ordered the epidural to finally get the epidural inserted. An hour and 15 minutes, guys. And I would do it again. I would just try to wait out longer without the epidural. So everyone knew in the hospital that I wanted to wait for my fiance and my father to show up. I could not give birth to my daughter without my fiance or my father there. It was my first baby, and it was really important for them to be there. Next thing you know, it is 8 p.m. I get a delivery. One of my friends sent me a bunch of pads because right after you give birth, you bleed a lot more than a regular period. Granted, I never had period cramps, so I was in for a treat. And then around 8:30, my fiance and my dad both show up. Thank God. And then we were just there, sitting there. They were checking me, it was fine. But then around 10 p.m. hits, and I get this massive headache, massive fever. I, at that point, was dying. The pain of my headache was probably similar to the contractions, but it wasn't enough for me to scream. It was just enough for me to, like crunch up like this. And they checked my forehead, and they checked my temperature, and they said, you have 108-degree fever, which is very high. And then they look up the blood pressure, and it turns out that my daughter's blood pressure and heart rate completely dropped. And so at that point they were like, okay, yeah, like we got to get her out now. So they called the doctor. Doctor comes in, he's like, we're ordering a C-section. And man, did that scare me, because my mother's had a C-section. She always tells me horror stories about it. And granted, this was both when my parents literally left 10 minutes ago. They just made it home, and I wasn't sure when I was giving birth, but they were trying to get me out to do it now, because at that point it became dangerous. And I was freaking out. And then they check me down there, and they see her head's popping out, which means I was fully dilated for a couple hours and nobody checked me. Yeah, I was fully dilated with her head popping out, and they said they see some dark hair. So that's when I knew my daughter had a full head of hair. And they grab me and they teach me to push. They're like, hold in for 10 seconds. By the way, that was hard. And I was throwing up while pushing. And I was pushing. Whew, and I thought it was going to take hours. Like, it's 10:20 p.m. I'm going to push her out. Minute, I'm going to have her. 1:10:25. Nope. 5 minutes later, pops right out. By the way, guys, I did not feel a thing because I was an epidural. The only thing I did feel was the sensation of her being in my stomach to all of a sudden not. I felt like something snatched out of me. Like a rough tug, basically. A rough pull. And my doctor had to play hot potato trying to catch her, but she was so tiny, and the umbilical cord was literally this small, which is considered very small for a newborn baby. And then, yeah, there you go. My beautiful Arbella Azra was born on January 9th, 2025 at 10:25 p.m. And the aftermath of that was that you're in so much pain. You can't use the bathroom. You can't laugh. You can hardly talk. And I was so proud of myself, dude. I just gave birth. I was like, give me some food. Nope. It was 10:25 p.m. The cafeteria was closed. They only had some crackers to lay me over for the next day. So I was starving. So finally I ordered, I had my fiance buy some Jack in the Box for me because I was so hungry. Taco Bell. I ate my first meal after giving birth was a quesadilla. And yeah, I would say it was a great experience. It just was very painful at first, and I recommend the epidural no matter what. And I would do this again, but I would just wait out the epidural a little longer. And having my disability and being a mom now, guys, I'll make a separate video about being a mom, has been a little difficult, but I have managed to still go out with friends, focus in school, and be a mom because of the support system. So to anyone out there who may be overwhelmed and stuff, if you ever need someone to talk to, please come talk to me, because I know how it's like to just be overwhelmed as a mom, and I believe everyone should have a support system, and I really hope that you do have a support system. And if anyone has a birth story that they want to tell me about or talk about, feel free to talk about it below. And if anyone has given birth without the epidural, you guys rock. Anyways, it is December 2025, so I just want to say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. My daughter is going to be a year old next month, and our theme is the fairest one of all. And thank you for listening to my birth story. And I will shut up now and enjoy some pictures of my beautiful daughter. Cheers!